And drum rolls. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Excel Island, where the goal and objective is to learn and master the Microsoft Power BI tool over the next 100 days. And welcome to the final lap. We are just a day after today to the final chapter and on the final course on the career track rather, data analyst in Power BI career track on the DataCamp platform. We started like a couple of 60 days ago, like a couple of months ago. We are coming to the final lap of the Power BI challenge. Actually, I never knew we could actually complete the whole challenge before day 100. As it is, we are actually going to complete the whole career track on the data analyst in Power BI career track section on the DataCamp platform. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sheriffdeen. I hope it has been an amazing journey learning with me so far over the past 60 something days. We are on the last course in the new career track called Deploying and Maintaining Assets in Power BI, which walk us through the cloud version of Power BI Desktop, popularly known as Power BI Online or Power BI Service. So on day 66 or 67, we started in the introduction to the Power BI service, which is the workspace, how to create workspaces, and how to create apps and deploy apps in Power BI service online. And today we'll be looking at securing content in Power BI service, which teaches us how to distinguish between making our content available to the public and making it available to the right people. That is the data set behind your Power BI reports and dashboard. Do you want to make it available to the public, or you just want to share the report to the public? We'll be looking at how to do that and securing our data sets in Power BI service online. So also all data set exercise files, Power BI files that I'll be using and will continue to be using to learn over the next couple of 60 something days, not 100 days anymore, is already linked under the YouTube description. So do make sure to download those files and practice along with me. So without further ado, let's jump back to learning and welcome back to the final lap 68 days. Yes, today is the 68. I kind of get confused on which day sometimes. I kind of lost track, but I believe today is the 68th of learning, but we're actually going to be finishing the whole career track on day 69. So that's it. Do well to support the channel by giving the video a thumbs up. This live stream is thumbs up, or the video my first it, and hit that subscribe button as we'll be starting a new challenge pretty soon, which is the data analyst in Python career track, which is going to run for a 100-day period. Also, we're going to set a target of 100 days, and hopefully we could complete the whole lessons, the whole career track before day 100. About a minimum, on average, we're going to set a 100-day target for that also. You can see we could, if I click on career track real quick here, you can see we are 95% to complete the whole career track, or 95% throughout the whole 100% of the career track. And as usual, when I started learning this fun way of learning that I'm kind of now used to now, I kind of do that first thing after a couple of activities when I switch on my laptop or getting to come online and work and try to make a living all the way from home here. This is the first thing I do, and I'm kind of getting used to it. Probably we make it an habit of learning something new on the channel, a tool, 1 hour per day on the channel. Then we create other contents for the channel. Who knows? It can be what the channel is going to be all about. So that could be our unique content on the channel. Get it now. So if I click on the data analyst in Power BI real quick, you can see we started with the data analyst in SQL. We are completing the data analyst in Power BI. We are definitely starting the data analyst with Python career track. So do well to subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell so you'll be the first to know whenever I go live or drop a new content on the channel. If I click on this real quick, you could see all what we have here that we've covered so far. So the whole courses contained in the career track is 17 courses estimated for 48 hours. So by default now, on average, I could recommend that if you want to complete the career track, the data analysis in Power BI career track session on the DataCamp platform, you could just dedicate 69 hours or 17 hours on average to complete the whole career track. That is plus listening to the instructor, following the instructor, and attempting the exercises on the platform. Because we started from introduction to Power BI all the way down till the final course, which is deploying and maintaining assets in Power BI. And I hope the DataCamp team create an update to some chapters in the courses. Definitely some couple of courses in this career track need a couple of updates. I wish they could see this live stream right now, especially the build through section of the course and some other parts, if I could remember pretty well for now. But that is by the way. So without further ado, let's continue the course. Okay. And the good news is that I've kind of sorted out my network challenge. I recently got a 5G network, so I'll be looking at my live stream after this to see if there's any lagging or blurry or if it is not clear, just to see how my new 5G network is doing. And I'm super excited. I got it on the right time because I've tried every 4G network I have available in my country. But at the end of the day, I kind of upgraded to 5G network. And I think it's doing well so far. It's less than 24 hours I got the 5G network too. So this was the last lesson we did on a couple of hours ago. That's a day ago. So we recently learned all about workspaces and different roles available in the workspace, which is on the Power BI platform. And we took a look at how to create content in Power BI service, which is creating content popularly known as apps, creating workspace and apps in Power BI service. We can catch all of this on the day 7 live stream. Exactly, yeah. So let's learn about securing data sets in Power BI service. Okay, let's see.
Power BI has several tools to secure data sets. In this video, we will look at 3 such tools. The first tool is dataset permissions. There are 4 permissions in total that you can grant. The read permission allows a user to view data from a dataset in the context of a Power BI report. Importantly, read does not allow querying of the dataset through an external API or finding additional content which uses a given dataset. To gain those permissions, a user needs build access. Additionally, a user may also build new content off of an existing dataset. Reshare allows users to share dataset contents with other users. This allows a user to grant some combination of read, reshare, and build to other users. Finally, the write permission allows users to view and modify metadata for a dataset, including things like featuring Q&A questions, adding descriptions to datasets, and replacing dataset contents. Each workspace role automatically adds certain dataset permissions. For example, any workspace role will grant read permissions on a dataset in the workspace. Admins, members, and contributors will get build access to datasets. They also get write access to datasets in the workspace. By default, only admins and members get reshare access, as this permission relates to giving other users permissions. In addition to workspace role assignments, there are 3 ways to obtain permissions on a dataset. The first way is directly to grant dataset permissions to a user or group. We may also grant permissions to an app. Users with an app implicitly gain the app's permissions. In other words, an app might have read access to a dataset. A user with that app will therefore have read access to the dataset through the app. The third method to grant permissions is to share a link to a report. When sharing the report, we can configure what dataset rights people will have. The second tool, row-level security, allows us to restrict data access for given users. Specifically, we can show or hide specific rows based on filters we create. We can create row-level security roles which contain these filters. We create these roles in Power BI Desktop, and then use the Power BI service to assign users and groups to our newly created roles. Row-level security does come with a performance cost, as it needs to compare each row individually to see if the current user should be able to see it. Further, users with write permissions on the dataset will see all rows, regardless of row-level security settings. In practice, row-level security is a restriction you place on workspace viewers, not admins, members, or contributors. The third tool, sensitivity labels, guard sensitive content against unauthorized data access and leakage. These allow us to prevent access to certain datasets in Power BI Desktop, such as encrypted datasets containing sensitive customer information. Power BI allows administrators to block users from exporting highly sensitive data. Importantly, any user who can set a sensitivity label may also change the sensitivity label. That said, all changes are tracked in the Power BI audit log, so even though a person can change the sensitivity label, you have a record of that change. Setting sensitivity labels starts in the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center, where you can define custom labels. Microsoft does not provide you a default set of labels. Instead, you create your own. After creating these labels, there is a Power BI tenant setting to enable sensitivity labeling for the entire organization. After that, you must be logged into Power BI Desktop or Power BI Service. You must have a Pro or Premium per user license to set sensitivity labels. Finally, you must have edit permissions on the content you wish to label. We can label individual data sources as well as the Power BI report as a whole. Now that we have learned about 3 techniques for securing datasets in Power BI, let's apply that knowledge to some exercises.
Okay. See, so we just walked through how to protect your data from unauthorized access to different users, either through Power BI service, row-level security, or use the sensitivity feature in Power BI desktop. That's quite interesting because most data sets you see, you cannot easily have access to it. So sensitivity labels. So which of the following is correct about sensitivity labels? Okay, you must have a Power BI Pro or Premium per user license to set sensitivity labels in Power BI desktop. That is correct. You may set sensitivity labels in Power BI desktop without being logged in. So the first option is correct, but this is wrong. You must be logged in. You may also use Microsoft defined sensitivity labels. Once set, you may not change a sensitivity label on a data set or report. The first one is the correct option. So that's right. Sensitivity labels are only available to users who are licensed as Pro or Premium per user. You can get more information about that on the official Microsoft documentation. Okay. So row-level security benefits. So what is the primary benefit of using row-level security? So you prevent data loss by protecting each row from accidental deletion. And that's quite funny, no? Show or filter out rows of data based on a given user's row membership. Show or filter out rows of data. So that's correct. So limit access to a given report. So hide sensitive visuals from unauthorized users. So the primary benefits of row-level security, that is the second option. You only show relevant data to certain people within the organization, and you prevent others from unauthorized access to certain data sets. So manage data set permission. Okay, so let's see. We have got quite a lot of challenges there to learn. Let's see.
This demo is all about securing data in Power BI Online. First, let's take a look at what we can do to protect access to datasets. In our Wake County workspace, we have a dataset. Navigating to the context menu for this dataset, I can choose Manage Permissions. This takes me to a page in which I can manage dataset permissions. Note that I must be an administrator or member to view this page. There are two tabs here, one to manage direct access to the dataset, and the other to manage links that we generate when sharing reports. For direct access, I can see my account here because I am the owner of this dataset. We can also see an entry for anybody in our organization because we created an app using this dataset. If I want to add a new user, I can do so by clicking the Add User button. This brings up a dialog in which I can enter an email address and choose the level of access to this dataset. We can optionally let people reshare the data or build new content off of this dataset. Most of the time, the people building these datasets want that level of interaction, and so they are reasonable defaults, but we can turn them off for certain users if there is a reason. The Links menu currently does not have anything in here because we have not shared reports as links. Let's do that now. We can see that there's no way to add a link to a dataset directly, but if I drill into reports, I can choose the Wake County Restaurant Inspections report. On that page, I can add a link. This brings up a dialog into which I can enter email addresses and set permissions. I'll enter my email address and send. Now I have a link with two permissions, read and reshare. Read allows me to access reports, and reshare lets me share that data set with other people who will get equivalent permissions to what I have. Back on the data set, I can see that link as well. Now let's enable row-level security on this data set. To do so, I will open the report in Power BI Desktop. In the Modeling tab, we can see two options for security. The first is Manage Roles. This allows us to define roles for row-level security, such as cases where the restaurant's location is the town of Cary. Let's select the ellipsis for the restaurants in Wake County table, see the column for city in the list, and define a filter where the city is equal to Cary. Now we can select the View As option and see how it would look for somebody in the town of Cary role. We can see that the number of inspections has changed, and that's because we're only including restaurant inspections in Cary. I'll stop viewing and then publish this report. After publication is complete, we can return to the Power BI service and navigate into the security menu for our dataset. Here, we can define which users and groups belong in which roles. For now, Office 365 groups are not supported, but you can add Power BI security groups. One important note is that if a user has edit permission on the dataset, that is, if the user is an admin, member, or contributor, then row-level security will not apply. They will be able to see all of the data in the report, not just the data associated with their role. To ensure that users see those row-level security filters, you should only assign them to the viewer role. Now that we've taken a look at dataset permissions and row-level security, let's go to the following exercises.
Okay, let's see how to apply. So matching permission with activities. So Power BI offers 4 dataset permissions. So each permission confers certain rights. So for each scenario, what is the minimum dataset permission required to satisfy the use case? So drag each scenario into the appropriate region. We have the read, build, reshare, and write rows. So the CEO needs to see data in the company financial reports. The CEO. So the CEO just needs to read. He could also build. Let's say the CEO will just be a reader. A data analyst would like to create a new report using the data sets. We say the person should be able to build. A Power BI report designer would like to feature specific queue and a question or null report which uses data sets. Let's give that permission to write. So a developer wants to query our dataset by using external API. We definitely want to reshare to the developer. Mhm. So a DB rewrote several queries to fix performance problems and needs to replace the dataset with a new one. A database administrator, uh, that should be a right permission. Let's give that. The Power BI report designer wants to provide read access to the accounting team. Read access to the accounting team. Let's see if you are correct. Ooh, I missed this step. So it said a developer wants to query our data sets. Okay. A developer wants to query. So once he wants to query, we should give the read permission. While this a Power BI report designer wants to provide read access to the accounting team. Accounting team read access only. Okay. Ooh, I'm missing this. So this should be under reshare also. No. A developer wants to query our dataset by using external API or build. I'm curious about this developer part. Who wants to query our dataset? Definitely, the developer isn't part of the team. So is that developer? The developer has to be an admin, a member, or a contributor. That's when you have this build access. That's interesting. So I got most of it. Just a few missteps. So granting permission on data sets. So there are several ways in which you can grant another user read-only permission to access a data set. So which of the following are valid method for granting this read-only access? Okay, it says there are several ways. Drag each method into the appropriate region. So grant access to an app and let the user get the app. Okay, read-only permission. To grant another member read-only permission. So anybody can be a read only. It could be an admin, a member, a contributor, or a viewer. So with valid method, grant access to an app and let the user get the app. And this is a valid method. Assign the user to a row level security role. Valid method. Include the user in the workspace contact list rule. Directly grant access to the user. Nope. Share via link. Share via link a report which uses the data sets. If we share via link a report, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I missed this step. So all these are invalid methods. If you include, okay, okay, like grant access to an app, that is valid. Share via link a report. So assign a user to row level security is invalid. It depends on who you are trying to give access to. It says sharing a link to a port which uses a data set will grant access to the data sets. Okay, that is this sharing a link. Let me see. Hold up. So this one says directly grant access. So the easiest way to ensure a user has permission to a dataset is to grant access directly. Okay. I'm curious about this row level security. Let's see. So we cannot use row level security rules to grant access to a dataset. So row level security is just for viewing. For if you want to grant access to dataset, you have to use these valid methods. Either through an app and let users get the app. Share a link to a report which uses datasets to directly grant access to the users. Let's say if you include the user in a workspace contact list, adding a user to the workspace contact list does not change that user's right to access assets. So you can only view. So you can only set. So if the person wants to grant access to the data sets, being in the workspace doesn't mean you get access to it, except you are an admin of the workspace. Okay, interesting. Okay, so the three methods in the value bucket are what you can use to grant a user the ability to access the data sets. Okay, that's good. So row level security and permission. So which of the following statement about row level security is not correct? So the one that is not correct. So when role of security is defined on a data set, users with a read or build access may read data only if they belong to an appropriate role level security. Users with read or build access only. No, if you're in the read or build only, you are the admin, you are the member, you are the contributor of that. So you could actually have access to the data. So if level security is not defined on a data set, users with read, write, and build access may read all data. User with only share access may read all data. Users with only share access may not. Mm. So when role level security is defined in the data set, only users with which belong to an appropriate role level security role may view the data set. Okay, so one is not correct. So when role level security is defined in the data set, users with the right access may read data regardless of whether they belong to a valid role level security. Okay, let's see. Mhm. I'm kind of reading it all over again. Users with read or build access, if you have a read or build access, may read data only if they belong to the appropriate role level security role. Nope, that's correct. So one is not correct. So if role level security is not defined, a data set user with read, write, and build access may read all data. No, a data set users with read, write, and build access may read all data sets. That's correct. So when role level security is defined on a data set, only user which belongs to an appropriate role level security may read the data set. This is correct. I'll go for this final one. Oh. So when role level security is defined in a data set, user with right access may read data regardless of whether they belong to a valid role level security. That's correct. Okay, let me see that third option. So when role level security is defined in a data set, only users which belong to an appropriate role level security may view it. That's not correct. So anyone could easily view it, depending, even though you're not assigned to a role level security. Oh, that's interesting. That's quite long and confusing, though. But let's see. So this final part is less of, okay, let's configure role level security in Power BI. So I think I have my data set somewhere here. So let's do an example of a role level security. So role level security gives us the ability to control which rows of data a given user can see. So based on rules, we can define in Power BI desktop and assign in Power BI service. In this exercise, management would like you to demonstrate how we could use role level security to separate out people who may view restaurant inspection information versus people who may view food stand information. Okay, let's see. So let's load the role level security from the exercise files. I've loaded role level security file here. I'll probably be using the DataCamp interface. Let's see. Oh, let me sign it to my Power BI service. If I'm not logged into Power BI, I won't be able to publish it to Power BI service. Okay. So navigate, load the role level security Power BI file from the exercise folder on the desktop. Navigate to manage roles. Let's see. Oh, I'm logged in already. Okay. So let's see. Manage rows. I can actually define a row via this section here. Let's see. So create a row called restaurants. It should filter the restaurants in Wake County table where the facility type is restaurants. Let's create a new row called restaurants. New rows. We call it restaurants. Restaurants. Okay. So we want to filter the restaurants in Wake County table. So there should be a restaurant table here. Restaurant open dates. Restaurants in Wake County table. Okay. Let me see. Where the facility type is restaurants. Okay. So I've selected this restaurant table. Facility type. Okay. We have the facility type here. I think I'll prefer the DAX because the facility type is why is it having two? Okay, hold up. Let's see. The facility type is called is restaurants. Let's see if I'm correct. I think I need to put it in quotes. Let me check. Okay, check to verify the DAX is correct. Cannot find table restaurants. So you can see, so my DAX code is not correct there. I'm missing something here. Let me just delete this and switch to the default. Let me use this method here. So I'm in the show the facility type equals to rest restaurants. So this is another way to write that. I think I kind of prefer this method, but that's tricky. Why is it not still showing this error? Let's close it then. Let me just first of all delete this. Now let's create another one, new row, and call it restaurants. So if we go to the restaurant table, but let's close it first. Let me go check the table view. Restaurants in Wake County. Under the facility type, because we have different facility type, you can see here. Facility type is restaurants. This one I want to filter on. That's what we need to do there. But let's give it a shot another time. New row. Let's call it restaurants. So the restaurants in Wake County table. The facility type is equal to, now let's check it again. Restaurants. So the value has to be in double quotes. Okay, let's put the value in double quotes. Let's see. The value I'm supposed to be using is supposed to be in double quotes. Now let's check if my DAX, I see my DAX formula is correct now. So I'm not getting any error again. You can see. Now let's save it. As it successfully applied changes, let's close it. If I now go to view as, let me go to click on view as and see. So let's view as restaurants. Data should get filtered. So now viewing as restaurants. Let me change it back to stop viewing. So you could see the charts. So let me just click on stop viewing though and see what we have here back. So if I let me view as restaurant again. Let me see if this facility type is going to, you can see the facility type change here to restaurant. You can see that means our low level security is working fine. You can see right here. But let's follow the instruction and see. Okay, we've done that. Create another new row called food stand. It should filter the restaurant away country table where the facility type is food stand. Let's create another new row for food. So as you want to filter to food stand, yeah, we've actually filtered to restaurants earlier before. We want to filter to only show filter our data to show for food stand. Let's do it again. Manage rows. Click a new one called food stand. Food stand. So now we go to the restaurants away county. Let's new. I prefer to use the dark code as I did earlier. So restaurants in weight facility type is equal to, so my it's going to be in quotes food stand. I think it should be food stand. Let me double check. Food stand, not stands. There's no S there. Now let's check. I'm supposed to use double quote, not a single quotes. Double quote rather. Now I could just mark to check if my and verify my doubts. If there's no error, I wouldn't get any error match here. But I think it should show successful here. Okay, well that's when it is saved. It shows successful here. You can see successfully applied row changes. Let's click on close. If I go to view as also. Let's view row stand, full stand rows. You can see firstly type full stands. You could see the number of inspection and so on and so forth. That's how easy to create rows in Power BI. If I view change the rows, okay, no, I'm not adding a new row. I want to view the rows. So I need the inspector chart for that restaurant facility. While for the full stand facility, the inspector chart also change also. So our rows is working fine there. So if I click on next, change the role to full stand, emulating a viewer who has been granted this row level security. Let's change the role view as full stand. You can see, so the inspector chart, the highest inspector was Lucy Chum. How do I pronounce that? So reviewing the inspector chart, what is the largest number of full stand inspection by any inspector? The largest is 507 by Lucy. 507 by Lucy. So that's right. Lucy inspected 507 full stand in our data set. You can learn more about row level security on this Microsoft documentation. So that's pretty straightforward there. Simple row-level security that we did there in Power BI desktop. So I probably use this report to Power BI, then I could assign roles, but I don't have this data set, any member. Okay, I don't have any members on my Power BI service. I don't. So this is just the final aspect of Power BI that's just easy to do, not that really technical, or it doesn't require too much of DAX formula and so let's continue about what is this Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. Let's see application labels. Okay, let's see what we need to learn here.
In this demo, we will see how to set sensitivity labels on reports and datasets in Power BI. First, we need to navigate to compliance.microsoft.com. This is the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. If we navigate to Information Protection in the Solutions menu, and then choose Labels, we can see 3 labels that I have created: Public, Personal, and Confidential. These are custom labels, meaning you can pick whatever names you choose. After publishing the labels, they become available to Power BI. Be warned, however, that it may take up to 24 hours for them to become available. Now I will navigate to app.powerbi.com and access the admin portal from the settings menu. Here in Tenant Settings, I can navigate to Information Protection and allow users to apply sensitivity labels for Power BI content. With this setting enabled, we can use the Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels we defined in the Compliance Center. We can also control who gets access to setting these sensitivity labels, as people with access to set the labels also have access to remove the labels. Just like publishing labels, this may take up to 24 hours to complete. In practice, it will likely take an hour or two. Now I will navigate to the Wake County workspace. I can see 2 objects, a dataset and a report. Right now, neither has a sensitivity label set, but I can change that. Let's navigate to the Settings page of the dataset. On the Settings page, we can drill into the sensitivity label section and classify the dataset as one of our options. I'll choose Personal, indicating that the dataset contains personal data we want to protect. There is a checkbox to apply the label to downstream content, and I'll leave that on as I select Apply. If I return to the workspace, we can see that the dataset now has a sensitivity label of Personal, and so does the report. That's because the report uses the dataset. In other words, it is content downstream of the dataset.
Okay.
Let's suppose I know my report is even more sensitive than the dataset itself. I can navigate to the settings for the report and control its sensitivity label. Navigating through the settings pane, I can see that the sensitivity label is currently marked Personal. I'll change that to Confidential and save the report. After saving, we can see that the report is marked Confidential and the dataset Personal. We can also mark datasets and reports in Power BI Desktop. To mark a dataset, we can navigate to Power Query for a table like restaurants in Wake County. From here, navigate to Data Source Settings, choose the data source, edit permissions, and you can select a privacy label. I'll set this to private and then close and apply. Importantly, note that this does not change the report's sensitivity label. To do so, we can change the sensitivity from the Home ribbon menu and choose a setting like Confidential. Now, when I publish this report, I can see that both the report and the dataset have a sensitivity label of confidential, meaning that the sensitivity label of the report drove the sensitivity label for the dataset. Let's take what we've learned about sensitivity labels and apply it to the following exercises.
That's interesting. So I could just go to my home tab here under sensitivity. It is not currently active here, probably because I didn't set it in the data sets. But if I go to the transform tab, let's see the data set here. Now I don't have access to the data set here because it is not in my Power BI file. But let me pick one of the data sets. Let me see if I have the data set here. Okay, that should be a CSV file. Hmm. Oh, I don't have access to the data set here. So assuming I have access to the data set, I could go to the data source and go to the edit permission. So on the private level, I can set it here, either public, organizational, or private. Then that should have the sensitivity label active, not grayed out. We can see all the data source here are from the data uh, platform. But let me look at the other data sets here. Inspection dates. So we can see. I see the sources. I can't actually edit the sources because it is from the DataCamp platform. This is my own table. But that's interesting though. But when you have a data set and you want to protect the data set, you can also do that from here or actually from the sensitivity label here. Well, let me go to my Power BI service real quick and see if I have a data set that I've actually uploaded to my Power BI service, and I could change the sensitivity level from there. Let's see. So that is still coming up though. Okay, it is up. Let me just open one of these my workspaces. Let me open my workspace. Okay, I have some data set here. I said I don't have any sensitivity level for this data set here. But if I should scroll down, let me see. Let me click on this reports. And I have another report here and the data set here. Let me click on this report and go to the settings. If I scroll down, mm, okay. So that is the report. Let me click on the data set rather. This is the reports. Where is the data sets? This should be the data sets. Explore the data preview. Okay, this is data sets. So let's look at the settings of the data sets. Aha. So from the settings of the data set, I could just scroll down to sensitivity. This is semantic model. Request semantic model, launch image, external sharing. Okay, I've switched that off. Endorsements. I think I saw the settings in the other end too. Parameters, data source credentials. Let me look at gateway. Workbooks, data flows. So if I go to the general section, so this is my general section here. The funny thing is that there has been an update, so that's what I'm saying, that there should be an update to the Power BI There's some content on the DataCamp platform. We're not still standing. What if I go to my settings here? General settings. If I go to the tenant setting, I would try to figure that out later offline, off live stream. But let's see. So step by step sensitivity labels. So Microsoft Information Protection sensitivity labels allow organizations to classify critical content in service like Power BI, making it possible to protect sensitive data through the process of report development, deployment, and usage. So controlling sensitivity labels in Power BI service allow administrators to review sensitive labels and ensure that report writers have chosen appropriate settings. So the Power BI administration team would like to mark a particular data set as well as any downstream report as confidential. What steps should they take to enact this? So they need to open, let's see. mm, Let's say open the workspace containing confidential reports. Then open the sensitive label menu. Change the sensitive label with the data set to confidential. Mm, Should be the last. Let's see. So I've missed this step. Okay. Navigate to the settings. After you've opened the workspace containing confidential report, navigate to the settings. So you open the sensitivity label menu, then you change the sensitivity of the data set to confidential, then apply the sensitivity label to the data set downstream content, and then apply the changes. So that's how you do that in Power BI workspace. But I couldn't find a workspace in my Power BI that have a confidential report. But I could also set the sensitivity label all the way from here. Probably I'll open an entire data set that I have access to. Because one, I don't have access to the data sets that I have on this report, but I could just play around with the report because the data is cached on the Power BI memory. So that's how interesting Power BI could be. So I was able to use it for my own end there to practice. So at which level can you set sensitivity labels within Power BI desktop? Mm, For each data set, for each report page, at the entire report level, or for each data set at the entire report level. That's wrong. You cannot set sensitive labels for individual report pages. So for each report page, the report level. So it is for each reports at the entire report level. So for each data set and the entire report level. That's interesting. Oh, we've completed this sensitivity data settings and so on. There are quite a lot of data settings that you could come across in Power BI. So you just have to pick one and implement it for your Power BI data. But it's quite interesting. You see that we have quite a lot of data set settings you could use to protect and safeguard your data sets from um, from unauthorized access. So that will be the end of the live stream for today. Cool. Okay, so let's just stop it today. We've covered quite a lot of in Power BI settings and report sensitivity and protecting your data sets. So we continue from here tomorrow on day 69, which is definitely the final day of this Power BI challenge. All right. So thanks for staying to the end of the live stream. So if you find value in this learning journey with me, do want to support the channel by giving the video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next video on the channel. And I'll see you on day 69, the final and last day where we'll cover the last part of the last chapter rather in this Power BI learning journey with me. We're actually 98% to complete the whole career track, and we're practicing a lot from day one. And the final goal is to put all we've learned into practice, especially from introduction to Power BI, and build some data sets. So I'll be revisiting my case studies, which is analyzing customer action in Power BI, well detailed, and I'll be sharing that in a separate video on the channel entirely, not a live stream. How to do that all live stream, record and edit and make it available out there. And also I'll be doing the HR analytics also and the trend analysis. While I quite a lot to do, quite a lot. We just have to get started as we actually started this learning journey and we actually completed it for a 69-day period. I'll see you tomorrow for the final lap of this challenge. Do have a wonderful day. Bye.